Alright, it's that time, boys and girls, another GM Facepalm episode. So today, I'm trying to get some videos out of the way here. And, been looking through the Emerald Spire, the adventure module. Really, really cool. Very, very awesome. Super dungeon. I think you can take your characters up to 15th level or something like that, 13th or I don't know. Anyway, look through that, flip through it. It's pretty awesome. I like the unique variations of the themes per dungeon. Feels a lot like Zelda dungeons in a way. You got that water board and all this other stuff. So looks really cool. I like that they took some of the playable races, the very uncommon ones, and presented them as NPCs or bosses. But found that really cool. But the one thing that stands out that I've been seeing quite a bit of lately, at least the things that I've been looking through, are the Clockworks. And I've been working on this one for a while, and I really like Clockworks. Seems like I'm kind of fixated on constructs lately. Well, hey, you know what? Iron Gods is coming out, so there we go. And Gearsman. Did one on that. I did a revamp of it, a revisit to it. And it's time once again to investigate that some more with the different distant cousins, perhaps, and those that are related to them in some way. So we got the Clockworks today. There's a lot of different types, various ones with different purposes in mind. But I saw the Emerald Automaton in the Emerald Spire, and I really like it. I think it's a very unique look to it. I think they're really cool. I think I came across one or two in Shattered Star. I was looking through that. And prepping for Thornkeep, one of the dungeon levels, there was a couple animated objects, but I turned them into Clockworks. And I really like the look of the Clockwork. And which was it? Bestiary 3 maybe? The Clockwork Soldier in mind. It's the one I looked at when I was trying to configure a playable race. So Bestiary 3. Yeah, that's right, Bestiary 3. I love this one. This one's really good, but yeah, I like the look of them. I like the gears, the cogs, the efficient winding, the different ones that you can come upon. Thinking about things like Alkenstar and the emergent technologies that are showing their face in the world of Galarian. Clockworks really stand out. Very good spotlight. So maybe you want to have your own. So here we go. Using what's in the Advanced Race Guide, the Race Builder section at the back of the book, as I always talk about as I get into this delve. There's guidelines to show you how to build your own, add your own traits. So we're going to add some frustrations, some complications, some varying options to your table, your gaming table, to bring that audible facepalm. So, Clockwork. I got this to be around, how many racial points? That was definitely over 20. Come on, you. There we go. Okay, they were around 24 racial points, so it is a monstrous race in terms of their power level. So they will have a lot of unique, interesting traits and abilities, so we'll get right into that. Clockwork racial traits. +2 to strength, +2 to dex, and -2 to charisma. Clockwork constructs are strong and swift, but usually met with distress and distrust. And the description on them is, cogs and gears are visible in the gaps of this metallic creature's armor. Rumors of a rare few imparted with magical intelligence, an awakened construct. It proves challenging for clockworks to interact with society as they lack influence while instilling racial hatred. This particular one is medium in size, so they have no bonuses or penalties due to their size. Normal speed, base speed of 30 feet. And clockworks, they are constructs with the Clockwork Subtype. The subtype is 5, is the cost for that, and being that they're a construct, that's 20 racial points right there. So being a construct, they have different immunities, but also a few drawbacks, and I've listed those, such as cannot be raised or resurrected, not at risk to massive damage, but are destroyed when reduced to 0 hit points. But then you got where they are not subject to ability damage, ability drain, fatigue, exhaustion, energy drain, non-lethal damage, various different effects. They have no constitution score, so any DCs or other effects that rely on a constitution score are treated as having a constitution score of 10, no bonus or penalty. And getting past that part, that very lengthy part, I named one trait on here called Gear Inclined. Craft, clockwork, and knowledge engineering are always considered class skills. Next one, magical intelligence. Magically empowered intelligence, clockwork constructs have intelligence scores of 10 and cannot be lowered upon character creation. They can process basic emotions and therefore are not immune to mind effect and effects, terms, compulsions, morale effects, patterns, and phantasms. Natural attack. Clockwork constructs receive slam as a primary natural attack, dealing 1d4 damage. Plated armor. And here's where I talk about how they have varying armored plates built into their frame, protect their most critical areas. Considered masterwork and weightless. But then I also list 3 different types that they could have. Light armor, moderate armor, heavy armor. So you see where this is going. It's looking like a Warforged character, but a clockwork variety. But going more along with the Emerald Automaton that I saw from the Emerald Spire. So there's a lot of stuff on that, but I won't go through all that and bore you, rather than how much I'm already boring you now. But as far as the next one goes, self-destruction. A clockwork explodes 1 round after it is destroyed. The construct bursts into an explosion of metal scraps and arcs of electricity, dealing 2d6 points of electricity damage, plus 2d6 points of slashing damage in a 10-foot radius. Reflex to negate would be DC 10 plus 1/2 hit dice, plus Constitution modifier. A DC 20 disabled device check made as a standard action can halt the self-destruct sequence, but does not prevent it from dying. Swift reactions. Clockwork constructs generally react much more swiftly than other constructs. They gain improved initiative and lightened reflexes as bonus feats, and gain a +2 dodge bonus to AC. That's a lot of crap there. Here's one I liked from the Emerald Automaton that I added in here. Shockwave Aura. A clockwork reduced to half its hit points or fewer emits hazardous energy in rippling pulses. Any non-construct creature that ends its turn within 5 feet of a damaged clockwork takes 1d10 points of electricity damage. Reflex 10 plus 1/2 the hit dice, plus the Constitution modifier would negate the electricity damage. Vulnerable to electricity, so they would take 150% as much damage from electricity. Winden. The constructs must be wound with a special key in order to function. As a general rule, fully wound clockwork can remain active for 1 day per hit dice, but shorter or longer durations are possible. Languages. Clockwork constructs begin play speaking Common and Hallett. Clockwork with high intelligence scores can choose from any of the following languages: Draconic, Dwarven, Elven, and Gnome. And as far as the Clockwork subtype, you have the Whine, which I talked about, the vulnerable to electricity, and then the swift reactions. There's those. As far as alternate racial traits, they start out with a Hulk and metal frame, but maybe you want to be a druid. Maybe something not completely comprised of metal. So I introduced the Darkwood as a alternate racial trait, where your armor plate is made of wood, and you're no longer considered vulnerable to attacks which target metallic creatures, but vulnerable to effects such as repel and warp wood. You can make the determination whether you want them to be vulnerable to fire as well, but it's just a small outer shell. I wouldn't think that would necessarily apply. Just take damage as normal, and keep in mind wood does conduct electricity, more so if it's wet. And let's see here, another alternate trait: if you don't like the ability of being wound up, maybe like the Emerald Automaton, you are magic dependent, meaning you are partially powered by magic, such as a magical shard, and with deprived of magic, the construct is affected as if it were exhausted. The Clockwork's magic can be cut off by anti-magic, or suppressed by dispel magic, or mage's disjunction effect as if it were a magic item. This trait replaces Winden. Now, maybe you want to have this as a psionic race. Maybe you're going to choose a class from Ultimate Psionics. So here we go, here's another one. Psiplating. The Clockwork's body is covered in crystal growths, which resonate with psychic power, granting the wild talent as a bonus feat. If the construct takes levels in a psionic class, he instead gains a psionic talent feat. When a psiplated Clockwork takes a level in a favorite class, he can choose to gain an additional power point instead of a hit point or skill point. In addition, he may use his Constitution score to determine bonus power points in place of his primary manifesting score if higher. The construct's outer body is considered to be made from an unusual infusion of crystal and metal. A psiplated Clockwork's body naturally captures and magnifies light that strikes it. When in normal light, it sheds normal light in a 30-foot radius. In bright light, it sheds normal light in a 60-foot radius as light amplification. Psiplated Clockworks are vulnerable to shatter and similar effects, and receive sonic as an additional vulnerability, taking 150% as much damage as is normal from sonic attacks. So that's pretty cool. I like that one. Makes me think a little bit of the construct creatures in Dark Souls. The next one, Unarmored Body. Your body is crafted without its normal protective layer of armor, trading off physical strength for magical potential, if you want to be a mage. Unarmored Clockworks have no inherent chance of arcane spell failure, and can wear armor or magic robes and gain their full effects as well as their encumbrance. So they do not have a magical armor plating. This trait replaces plate armor and 20 bonus hit points. So you lose those bonus hit points for being a construct, since you are not as tough to destroy. And as far as the race traits, I've put on there Efficient Winden, where they can function for 2 days per hit dice. And then this other ability called Standby, where they can place themselves in a standby mode as a standard action. A Clockwork on standby cannot move or take any actions or remains aware of its surroundings, but takes a -4 penalty on perception checks. Time spent on standby does not count against a construct's wind-down duration. A Clockwork can standby as a swift action. Can exit standby as a swift action. If it does so, to initiate combat, it gains a +4 racial bonus to its initiative check. Then I added some Clockwork upgrades here. Things I saw in the other Clockworks, like the Nut Cannon, the Latch, the Lock Tool, maybe a Hidden Blade, maybe some Armor Spikes. Maybe want to have a little bit of trim of adamantine to your plating. Getting a little bit of damage reduction, maybe a little mithril in there. Complex tracery designs of mithril, so you can lower your heavy armor to be treated as medium, maybe, or medium treated as light. And that's all I got for that one. So yeah, total cost of 24. Being that they instill racial hatred, society in general would view them with great distress and distrust. So, does the -2 to charisma play well with that? If not, you can go for the modified homebrew version option, where you could have this thing called unfavorable charisma. So -4 RP. You can lower the charisma by an additional 2, granting them a -4 total to charisma, bringing the racial point cost down to 20, but also at the same time expressing the distress and distrust that it would encounter. Its challenging ability to try and interact with others, being a very unusual, very, very strange, very unnerving race. So, there's that. Alright. That's all I got for now. So, let me know what you think. If you hate it, gut it, rework it. Maybe I saved you some trouble having to write this all up from scratch. So, yeah. See you later.